Welcome to #No Filter Healthcare Podcast. This is where reality meets medicine, raw, unscripted, and uncensored. Co-hosted by healthcare aficionados Taylor Dunn and Tamara Dhanda. Ready to deep dive into the heart of healthcare? No filter, just facts. Let's get started.
Welcome to #No Filter Healthcare. I'm your co-host, Taylor Dunn.
And I'm your other co-host, Tamara Dhanda, and today we have our guest speaker, Suzanne Cano, founder of Lunalite Dental.
Thanks, guys. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, you and I met a couple weeks ago, and I have to say that it was like the wildest call I ever had because I get on the phone with you and you're like, okay, something crazy just happened to me. And I've never met anybody that's gone through that kind of experience. So I don't know if you're willing to share
Yeah,
just
so
briefly
when you
what
and I got on the
happened, but
call, that same morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, someone was trying to break into my house. So I'm literally calling 911,
yeah,
and I live in a very good neighborhood. So I mean, it can happen anywhere. And
right,
so I had the sheriff come out. They
right.
actually caught the two guys that were trying to break into my house. Well, they were really trying to break into any home. I think they were kind of going into my neighborhood, and some of my neighbors actually had them on video trying to break into cars too. Luckily, they rang the doorbell
Oh my
though.
God.
Duh, they rang the doorbell. They woke me up, and then they tried to break into my house. It's like, wow, it was a wild, wild morning. So yes, that was our call.
Yeah, so we had a great introduction to each other, and I just was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" But, so it was so great, like, learning about Luna Light ahead of time. We just kinda talked and got to know each other a little bit more, and I knew that we had to have you on this podcast just to tell everybody about Luna Light Dental and how you came up with this idea, which is also really crazy and so cool, and I can't wait for you to share.
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you. So the way Luna Light started, so just to give you a little bit of my background, I'm originally from Chicago, and for many years I was a dental assistant. So for many years I took many dental X-rays. I was on the job training, so I really didn't have any experience in dental. I was about 16 years old, and I had a dentist hire me on, and he taught me how to take or how to be a dental assistant. And my weakest focus on, or my weakest moments were really just taking dental x-rays. I think that's one of the hardest things that most dental assistants have to do is to take these dental x-rays. So that was really my background. Later on, I went into sales and dental. I started selling digital radiography. I went into cone beam training. I went into selling implants and CAD CAM. And so all of this just kind of like, 27 years later, 5 years ago, I had this wild dream, and I've always had really bizarre dreams. And this one really stuck, though. This dream, I dreamt that I was drawing a device, and I literally woke up drawing something, and I knew something was meant to happen out of that. And I'm very spiritual, so I did ask God for a sign. I said, please, Lord, let me know what you want me to do with this. Is this something? Because I felt like this strong energy going through. And I asked for a sign. I said, if you want me to go through with this project, show me a sign. I asked for a green lizard. I don't know why. I just said, show me a green lizard. And I kid you not, the very next day, I saw a green lizard on my porch. It just ran across, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I knew this was my sign for me to move forward with this development. And by no means was it easy. I went through a lot of heartaches and a lot of people ripping me off in the development side, and it was just very hard. And I had a very small budget to create this device. In the beginning, I didn't know what it was for. Later on, I understood that there was a need for better angulation and for intraoral X-rays, where you look at a device like this. This is what you see in the industry. This is the common thing. You put a film here or a sensor and you bite down on it. The purpose for this ring is to help the assistant align the X-ray machine. And so that's what the whole purpose is for. This has been around for more than 40 years. So nothing has ever disrupted this. So these manual liners have been there for a long time. So when I started drawing the device, I understood that there was a need for better angulation. So this is where Lunalite comes into play. Lunalite is a digital automated laser guided dental x-ray positioner. So what it does is that laser that you see is basically laser guided. So it's showing the assistant that you can reach the specific angle that you're able to see right here, but less painful. All you're doing is using a snap ray with the sensor and this. This is all you need to be able to capture the angulation of the person. So then you go through the buttons here and you choose the angle that you're looking to achieve. So if you're looking to achieve like the upper maxilla or premolars, you can go through the angles, and this is all designed to capture that specific angulation. And so if you don't see, so the nice thing about the unit is that it has a safety mechanism. So what that means is if you don't see the laser, you're not positioned properly. If you go back, reposition it, then you have the right angulation to be able to take that x-ray. If you press and hold down, you can also use our beep. So instead of, it's going to be laser and a beep to let you know that you caught, the right angle. That beep is really for if there's maybe too much sun in the room, that's going to help you determine if you can't see the laser where your angle is at. So that was the whole purpose. I made it basically. It's got this surgical strap where you strap it onto an X-ray cone head, and you can remove it and take it to another X-ray unit and strap it onto the other unit as well. So this is the Lunalite device in a very small, just a brief introduction of the Lunalite. But that's how it started. It started off as a dream.
I think that's so cool. I mean, how many people can say that that actually happens to them, you know? Like it's really cool how it all came to light for you, and I also love that you were able to show it off, and so if anyone is just like listening and not watching the video, definitely go back and look, cuz you can actually see how she uses the device and explains how it works. So and the second you told me about this, I completely related to it from like a patient perspective, because
Right.
I know exactly what you're talking about when I've gotten x-rays and like how uncomfortable it can be and how they have to constantly be readjusting, and it's like it takes so much longer for them to take the x-ray. And so I love that this exists. So to talk more about, how this device is impacting the dental industry, I'd love to hear, from not only, how it's improving the patient experience, but how is it saving dental offices time and money?
Yeah, so when an assistant is setting up the devices, you get a kit like this. You got all these little pieces in there, and you got to really figure it out. So all these pieces are for anterior shots, posterior shots, and so, or the yellows for posterior. So you have all these pieces that you have to set up. First of all, kits like this can cost you anywhere from, maybe if you're buying on the cheap level, maybe 50 bucks on Amazon. But if you think about it, if it's a knockoff, it's going to get ruined in the autoclave a lot faster. So you have to keep going back and buying more. You buy some from like Dentsply Sirona, they have the bigger packages, which could be like to 150 to 250, or distributor is probably going to charge you around that much. So you're looking at kits like this. This will last for about 6 months to almost a year because they get destroyed in the autoclave. Not to mention that these little pieces actually have to go into a pouch. So now you have to spend money on the pouch, time to actually have to autoclave, wait for these to come out, and then take your x-rays on your patient. But then the assistant has to put all these little devices together. So she's got to sit there, put everything together. Whereas you just get the Lunalite, turn it on, choose the angle that you want, use a snap ray, and take your shot. So you have faster turnaround time, better accuracy of the dental angle. It also enhances the workflow of the patient of the office. So it's a lot more enhanced. And it's patient comfort. So this is very, very painful for a patient. So this can literally cut your palate. If you have tori, it's even harder if you're doing a lower one. Ouch. This is a lot less cumbersome. It's a lot faster. So we're using a bisecting technique angle. So it's a lot easier for a patient. Okay. So it's not as scary looking as this mechanical device that you see. Could you imagine being a 5-year-old kid trying to put this in the mouth,
Right.
or a geriatric patient that, that has a hard time opening up. So there's a lot of purposes for the Lunalite, because we have to capture the angle and the apex of the tooth in one shot. So the accuracy is better. The workflow is better, and it's also great for new assistants that never really have a lot of experience in X-rays. So a lot of offices are finding hard, it's really hard to find good work nowadays. So a lot of offices are having to hire people with less experience. This is a great tool for those offices that have to hire with less experience. This is like almost a teaching tool as
Right.
well. So that's how I feel, time wise, workflow, better accuracy. And this is, less expensive than having to pay for all those pieces 6 months to every year.
Right. So do you have to, I mean, this might be a silly question, but does it have to be charged or anything like that?
It does. It comes with a USB charger. So you
Oh, okay.
charge it. It really can last up to 15 hours, just depending on how much you use it.
Okay.
But I've had this on for almost 2 days and I didn't have to charge it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's another thing is like you don't have to worry about replacing it, right? Because you just, or do you? That's a question too, I guess.
Yeah. What goes down after 4 years is probably, so it's a 2-year warranty on it. So
Okay.
it will be the laser that you'll probably have to replace
Gotcha.
the whole machine later on after about 4 years.
Well, that's a lot better than what the alternative
Still
is.
save money.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. You still save money.
Exactly. Okay, so my no filter question. So I wanted to ask you. I know we talked about this a little bit, and I just was like, Suzanne, you got to save this because I want to hear you talk about this in real time. So tell us the truth about being a medical device inventor and like the realities that anyone trying to accomplish this needs to be aware of. I mean, I can only imagine there's a ton of challenges, but I want to hear what like no one tells you and why people considering this venture need to kind of evaluate all these risks before they move forward.
Right. So first of all, don't quit your job. Second of all, you got to save money. You don't want to get into something that you can't afford, or you don't want to take loans out because you don't know if it's going to work or not. So also you have to make sure that you have people that know the industry a little bit. At least try to find people that you feel that you can really trust. The ugly about development is that there's a lot of companies, there's good development companies and really bad ones. And the bad ones are going to sniff out the ones that, the new inventors that are green to development. Those guys are going to try to take as much money as they can. And my advice to people is to find someone independent first, go to Upwork. I love the way Upwork works. Upwork helps you find an independent person, but you don't pay them right away. You pay them through milestones. And that's so important because I had a hard lesson learned on paying someone up front and I got ripped off several times. And so this is so important that if you're going to start something, make sure you give them milestones. Whether it is a company that you're going to hire on, have them have milestones and don't pay them all up front. The ugly is that you have to wear all hats. You have to be the designer, you have to be the inventor, you have to find an attorney and to help him write your patent. So you have to go through the patent process. Then if it's a medical device, you have to then go through FDA. Then you have to go through the whole regulations of FDA, having it registered. Luckily, I didn't have to have a 510 clearance, so I was exempt from FDA clearance, which was great. So I am registered, which was a great another thing. And so then you have to also be your project manager. Then you got to find a manufacturer, and then you have to understand about manufacturing. So it is so much work to be in a medical device field. And if one person like myself can do it, I do recommend people that have these dreams and understand their environment, meaning that I was in the industry in dental for 27 years. If they've been in an industry for a long time and they know that they can improve some system, then I say go for it. As long as you have all those ducks in a row, because it can get really ugly and you can lose yourself in it really quickly.
Yeah, speaking of wearing all hats, I know that not even all of the hats that you just listed off, but like even after you have the product and you go into like sales and marketing, tell me a little bit about that process for you and how that's been. I know you have a sales background, so I'm really interested, kind of your plans to bring this out to everybody and let everybody hear about it.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. It just keeps going. So luckily for me, I've been in sales for many years. So sales really sets you up for having your own business. If anything, before you start something, go into sales first to see if you're cut out for it. Because then you have to go into sales for your own product. Or you can license out your product. You can also do that too. You don't make a lot of money off that. But anyways, so for now, I launched this year. So this is my first year. So, and I'm still learning. It's not perfect yet. So I've been working with a mentor company, a consulting company, to help me launch this device. I've also been doing a lot of social media. I've been doing my own designs and whatnot. So then you go into your own designs, making phone calls, calling distributors, calling offices. I've done lunch and learns for my own product. I've gone to dental offices. I've gone to, schools. Right now, some of the schools have them, and I pitch my device. And so sales really set me up for this particular my own product, and that's really important to be able to have the guts to go in front of someone and say, I got my own product, or I got a product that I think might benefit you. And that's going to be really important for anyone that wants to start in medical device, because you really have to understand that there's a hustle that goes through it, and you have to learn how to accept no gracefully, and know that it may not be a no forever. Someone is going to say yes, and there is a market for your product. And this is why America has so many products, because someone is going to like your product. There's always going to be a benefit for a product, depending on the product. So,
And talking about the consulting, was there like a pivotal moment for you when you realized like I need to make that shift to bringing on help in any kind of capacity?
yes. So I knew that I would have to find a consulting company that understood the dental industry, understood medical device, understood um, the relationships, or had the relationships with distribution, manufacturing. And so that for me was really important when I found this consulting company that I'm working with.
Yeah, I think that's like probably the hardest part about being an entrepreneur, inventor, anything like that is recognizing that you can't do it all. And there's a point where you need to bring on experts and listen to what they have to say and take their advice and just kind of evolve your company to the next level, which is an exciting time, but it is really challenging, I think, for anybody going through it.
It is. And I think that when I got myself involved in this project, I knew it would be for a long time. So I understood it wasn't going to be a rush type of project. I
Right.
was going to be in it and planting seeds and growing and learning. And I became kind of like a farmer, if you will.
Hmm.
So you really have to be very patient and understand that if you're in it for the long haul, then you'll probably succeed. If you're in it for short term and you get phased out after 4 years, then just it may not be for you. It's not going to be for everyone. But you really have to put it in your mind when you first start that it's going to take a while, and it could take years.
Right.
And if you're okay with that, then go for it.
Right. Great advice. Well, thank you so much, Suzanne, for all the information today and telling us about Luna Light. I love talking to a fellow Chicagoan. Go Bears. So,
Yeah, go
right.
Bears.
If you'd like to learn more about Luna Light Dental, you can visit lunalitedental.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast or comment below if you have any questions for us. Thanks, Suzanne.
Thank you, guys.